A very good morning to Dr. Dewi Tajuddin. Today we are from Group 2 who like to present our group assignment for HRM549. The title of our group assignment is Training Program for Leadership Skill. But before we start our presentations, I would like to introduce myself and my group member. My name is Ian binti Saik, and my group member consists of Azira Fazira, Zendra Rebecca, Azlin Pazliana, and Elfinia. For the introduction, leadership is a skill that can be studied and developed. Leadership training can assist individuals to develop their skill and knowledge to be a successful leaders. There are many different kinds of leadership training programs available. Some programs focus on specific leadership skills such as communications, motivations, and problem solving. No matter what type of leadership training program you choose, it is important to be an active participant. The more you engage in the program, the more you will get out of it. Next, I will talk about the types of leadership skill. I will explain 5 types of leadership skill. The first one is communications. Leader needs to be good to communicate impressively with their team members. This encompasses being able to clearly convey their visions, to listen to feedback and resolve conflict. Second, motivations. Leaders need to be able to impress their team members to achieve their goal. This can be done by setting a clear expectations, providing the positive support, and performing successes. Third is problem solving. Leaders need to be skillful to solve problems effectively. This includes being efficient to identify the source of the problem. Fourth is adaptability. Leaders require to be able to adapt to change. They need to be able to handle unexpected challenges and setbacks. They also need to be able to learn from their mistakes and continually improve. Last but not least is decisions making. Leaders need to be able to make sound decisions. These include being able to consider the pros and cons of different choices, to gather input from others, and to make the ideal decisions for the team.
To make the training perfect, we must follow 3 phases of the program design process. The first phase is pre-training, the second phase is during training, and the third phase is post-training. So, I am going to explain you guys what is the pre-training do in the program of design process. Pre-training refers to the first training model, and it uses the parameter or model from the training to train another model on a different task that provides the out model with head start instead of starting from the scratch. Pre-training engagement is anything that includes the exertion that we out into fortifying future learners for and up and coming courses. It can include study, appraisal, sneak peek, and many more. Anything vitally we coordinate toward our learners, not counting outbound promoting our courses, is considered a portion of this. What we must do in this phase is to prepare, motivate, and energize trainees in a way to attend the learning event. So that's all what actually referring to the pre-training phases. In an encouragement of co-facilitating professional abilities preparing for frontline to official level staff, One things endure steadily, which was that the said venture in planning for the preparation was indeed more pivotal and required an overwhelming time specification upfront. The key activities that involve are valuable to hone and as subsentence. Stream and conveyance are preparation of the training room, site, fun type of seating, classroom type of seating, conference type of seating, and horseshoe type of seating. For example, developing a robust facilitator guide, comprehensive agenda, material essential, logistics and setup, recognition of activity and processes. Time allocation for the courses inclusive of break, lunch and others, indicator of facilitators responsible for each section, and also the key to speaking note such as story and demonstration. All of this is required in this phase or in the pre-training phase in which learner ought to not begin on the day of preparing, but instead ought to begin sometime recently. The preparing session is outlined and conveyed, inquiring learners to share their observation, participation and information for individualizing material to supervisor. Oversees and meet the audience learning needs, style, level and desires, including learners within the material plan, substances and preparing exercises will lead the way better affinity, but in support and general learner engagement, since they were welcome to be dynamic members in their claim learning journey. A few of the exercises that we must utilize to advance pre-training are surveys, requesting supposition of changing topic to consolidate into outwardly impressive slide, graph, or infographic in capturing audience composition. The abilities evaluation gauge learner level to guarantee the substance in pertinent to all learners, survey to accumulate existing examples are constructed into preparing exercises to advance preparing significant and application. This best encourages solo or co-facilitating a session. Training could be a need. Similar to planning sometime recently or an important assembly, planning earlier to convey preparation is necessary to familiarize yourself with the content, stream and conveyance strategy, even though paying off in a consistent conveyance or preparation. Whereas encouraging solo is challenging, it can be indeed more demanding when co-facilitating a training session. It's a complicated move with each step and misstep forming its vitality and in general execution. In conclusion, for the pre-training phase, this is allow models to be optimized quickly. This implies that a show can accomplish ideal execution when the pre-trained demonstrator is utilized. A show that features is a head start in knowing which parameters are likely to realize great things can be optimized faster compared to beginning from scratch. Besides, pre-training models have the advantages of not requiring as much information as building a show from the scratch. This is oftenly since most pre-training models accessible on the web to date have been prepared on exceptionally expensive database. Subsequently, utilizing such as a demonstration for a distinctive errand would require lesser information to merge.
A first impression is supposedly formed during the first 7 seconds of meeting someone. It may be simple to make a favorable impression in the first 7 seconds, but maintaining the impression required effort. We use the following key standard during training to keep participants interested throughout the session, allowing for lively discussion and interactive learning, leading to meaningful reflection and application of learning on the job. First is detailed agenda. The agenda gives the learner a sneak peek into the training's goal and the step needed to complete the session overall objective. The agenda not only gets the participants ready for what's coming up, but it also keeps them focused on the work at hand. There's a few ways to communicate when creating an agenda. Firstly, the goal of training, addressing the question, what's in it for me? The procedure about outlining the steps and activities, and the training objective about outlining the post-training expectation. Secondly is relevant icebreakers. In order to help staff members develop their leadership abilities and get to know their teams better, there are games and activities called leadership icebreakers. These exercises are meant to encourage communication and teamwork between leaders and their teams. Although there is excellent intent behind these icebreakers, participants frequently despise them and see them as challenging tasks and offer little to no value to the training. In order to prevent this, we carefully select icebreakers that assist in making connection between training objective and content. When selecting and delivering an icebreaker, we follow the steps. Firstly, pick an icebreaker that will be engaged, entertaining, and talented to see the tone of the remainder of the training session. Second, mention that the icebreaker will be followed by a question that ties it to the lesson. Next, make sure that during the icebreaker there is movement, conversation, and interaction. Last but not least, give time for a group discussion and a question of the icebreaker to discuss its applicability to training. Thirdly is inclusion of a variety of training mediums. We supposedly maintain 90% of the team we say and do. For training to be retrain the skill to be used on the job after training, participants must have opportunity to engage in hands-on application. To encourage greater participant and information sharing among participants, this activity should incorporate a variety of individual, couple, and group activities. The different learning preference of your audience can be catered by including a range of a training method. Here is an example of the training tools we use in our training session, such as flip charting, whiteboarding, videos, live polling, PowerPoints, participant guidance, case studies, scenario, and role playing.
Now we move to the post-training. Post-training is when the employees have successfully completed the training program in one period. It also can determine how effective the training is for the learner and give the insight into the training program from the learner perspective. Using feedback from the learner can make a necessary improvement and alternation in the training program, so the learner can have a better experience. Using the feedback from Google Form is one of the effective ways to evaluate the training program between poor to strongly satisfied by adding a few questions of the employees' opinion from the training program.
The Google link will be sent through WhatsApp, and then the employees may click the link and fill the form given. After evaluate the training program through Google Form, the employee will doing a post-mortem meeting to make a better plan for future and more efficiently. There are a few steps in conducting a post-mortem meeting. Firstly, assign a moderator and a note-keeper. A moderator drives the conversation and makes sure the meeting stays on track, while the note-keeper focuses on writing the meeting conversation and discussion. Secondly is setting rules. It is important to make sure the meeting is running well. Everyone's voice is important. Honesty and positive vibe is a must, and the device must mute to avoid any distraction. Next is create a simple structure, which is to brainstorming solution that can lead to action, which include what worked well, what didn't work, and what need to improve in the training program. The next step is to collect and track the feedback. As we can see, our project is using Google Form feedback, which is an easy way to get people involved to add their feedback. All the comments and discussed in the meeting is being collected and discussed in the meeting. Last but not least is have an action plan. After all the evaluation and discussion is made, craft an action plan, then share it with the right people and ask them to execute. Spreading information and work around the project management need to be addressed, where the objective of the project is met the goal or not. The note-keeper must write down all the ideas so that we can revisit the meeting agenda in the future.
To produce leaders, business and programs must invest in training, learning, and development, whether it's to meet regulatory requirements in a regulated industry, create the next generations of leaders, or inspire employees to boost retentions. In order for this training to be effective and deliver good advantages to others, we conduct training program by referring 7-step training design procedure. For the first steps is conduct a need assessment. This stage establishes whether or not these trainings is necessary. In order to satisfy the performance conditions, which are the subjects of a training needs assessment, we must have the knowledge, jobs, and capacities required. For the second step is ensure employee readiness for training. The training process will run more fluently if staff complete at this stage. We will concentrate on introductory sessions and motivational jobs throughout the program. An affable station will help our staff on actors learn the information offered. Thirdly, create a learning environment. We will produce an ideal literacy terrain that engages scholars during the program. Most importantly, we will ensure that the objects of the program are clear and accessible to the actors. This ideal will be the main purpose of the program we organize. Next, ensure transfer of training. We must make sure that the learners apply the training material to their job in this step. They should put this kind of tune operations, peer and director, and support training to use at work. In addition to gaining support from associates and directors, this process entails helping the trainee understand how to manage their skills. Tune operations is our capability to manage our actions, studies, and feelings in a conscious and productive way. Next steps, develop an evaluation plan. There are two: developing an evaluations plan, which is relating what type of issues training, and choosing an evaluations design that allow us to determine the influence of training on these issues. In this step, we will identify the issue for the training carried out. Other than that, design and conduct training. We will conduct our training program with a traditional training system of face-to-face commerce. Traditional training methods can be divided into 3 introductory groups. These include group structure ways, practical training, and presenting ways. For the last steps is monitor and evaluate. The system of training monitoring allows us to determine if the training is carried out in agreement with the action plan or whether there are any substantial diversions from the plan as intended. The main thing of covering any training design is to get regular field input that can be incorporated into training programs for ongoing training design enhancement. The thing of monitoring in the trainees plan is to ascertain whether the capacities learned in training have the effective transfer or there are any whether doing so have better the capability of the service delivery system.